one of those things that you always seem to need around farms, homesteads, houses that have chickens, anything like that. You always seem to need animal bedding. You need something for your chickens to lay eggs in. You need something to line the floor of your chicken coop with. You need something for your dogs to help stay a little bit warmer in the wintertime. And at least in my area, the standard seems to be pine shavings. And yeah, it may be true that you can go down to Tractor Supply every now and then and buy a bale of it for $5 when it's on sale, and it'll last you a little while. But I always think that if you can do anything for yourself, instead of having to buy it, that you should. And it just helps. To me, it makes me feel more self-sufficient. So if you have a chainsaw and a little bit of pine laying around, today I'm going to show you how to make your own pine shavings for virtually free. So of course you want to start off with a good sharp chain on your saw. This is a Husqvarna L65 saw. It's essentially an antique, but you know it runs great, and it has got more power than I have ever needed, and you know it's a great running saw. But you know that's the best thing. That's the biggest favor that you can do for yourself, is to sharpen your chain really good. This is a 404 chain, so it's fairly wide, but I'm sure this can be done with a smaller saw with narrower teeth as well. It's just whatever you've got will work just fine. So this is not going to be a video about how to sharpen your chainsaw, because there's about 1 million videos on YouTube that show you how to do that already. But I would like to share one quick tip. My dad used to be in the outdoor power products business. He sold trimmers and chainsaws and lawnmowers, and he would sharpen chains and blades and whatever people needed. And one interesting thing that he told me is that sometimes people would bring chainsaw chains in, and one side of the teeth would be twice as long as the other side. And the reason for that was because, you know, if you start on this side, filing takes a lot of effort, and if you start on this side filing your teeth, you're going to be tired by the time you turn your saw around and start on this side. So people would do, you know, twice as many strokes on this side of the teeth as they would on this side, which would make, you know, the teeth on this side of the chain shorter than this side. So make sure you use the same amount of strokes and even pressure on, you know, each side of your chain to keep your chains as even as possible. Another thing I'd like to share is, if you're going to do this with any amount of frequency, try to get decent tools. This is a Husqvarna file handle, and it works very well. They're not expensive at all. I mean, you may pay maybe $20 for, you know, a handle and a file, or maybe 2 files. I can't remember what comes in the package, but they're not expensive. And Stihl makes really good files, and I'm sure there are other companies that make great files. But you know, the bottom line is, don't go down to Harbor Freight and buy a chainsaw file and expect it to work for any length of time. So as you can see, I've already made a few cuts on this log. So what we're going to do is we're going to start the saw, and what you want to do is you want to rip just straight down. You're not cross-cutting, you're going to rip straight down from the top of this log straight through the heart, and you know, on through. I wouldn't go through, because if you go through, you're going to end up hitting the dirt and dulling your chain. The heartwood doesn't seem to throw as long of shavings as, you know, this part of the wood. The bark just throws dust. But anyhow, you'll get the picture. You'll see. Let's start this thing and see what we can do. as you can see, sometimes it works better than you would want it to work because it clogs up the saw. Let's try it again. So as you can see, that end of the log has about had it. But you know, the beauty of it is that once you get done with that part of the log, you can just cut it off, you know, right along in here, and you know, start over. And one log can give you just an amazing amount of this stuff. But this is the final product. See? That is good, light, fluffy stuff that chickens do not mind sitting on.